There's been a lot of talk in the 2012 election cycle about women voters. Up until just these last couple weeks, the president has enjoyed a really large advantage with women voters. Now most polls are showing Romney's closed that gap. It's either a tie. Some polls show Obama up by a little. I even saw one poll, I don't quite trust it, that had had Governor Romney by 2 over the president amongst women voters. And quite a bit of impetus hit me today for this video just to respond to 3 different topics amongst women's issues that came up in this campaign and just make some things clear. The first one's going to be birth control, especially the mandate within the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, that requires insurers, businesses that insure their employees to also pay for birth control for their employees. I want to talk about the abortion issue just a little bit, and then a little bit about the tickets, which ticket really is better for women. So I want to take care of all 3 of those things very quickly. I'll go fast, I promise. For the first, on the birth control thing, can we make something really clear very quickly? Because I saw a couple women on Facebook yesterday going absolutely nuts about this birth control issue. The fact that Hobby Lobby and Catholic institutions would sue the federal government so that they're not required to provide coverage for contraception. They acted like people are trying to make birth control illegal, trying to take away birth control. Can we make this really clear? Because there actually might be some misunderstanding. That's not the case. These people don't want to pay for your birth control. And may I add, I don't either. The fact that my insurance company now must cover every woman's contraception that are also with that insurance company is going to eventually raise my premiums because they're having to pay for something new now. I am, in the end, going to pay into the pool that pays for your contraception. Now, I am different than the Hobby Lobby guy and the Catholic institutions that have filed these lawsuits. I don't have a problem with birth control. Most of us don't. So for those women that are freaking out on this birth control issue, stop it. Calm down for a second. There's not a lot of people that have a problem with birth control. It's, as a concept, most of us are fine with it. Most of us don't want to pay for it for you. We want you to pay for it. I don't want to pay for it. But even for those that actually have a moral problem, a lot of Catholics, a lot of very sincere religious people have a moral problem with birth control. It should be an utterly rational position that they should not be required to pay for it for you. If it's that important to you to have someone else pay for it, you actually have the freedom of association to work somewhere else. You can go get another job. You don't have to work for one of those institutions. You don't have to work for Hobby Lobby. You don't have to work for a Catholic hospital or university. You can just go somewhere else. It's fairly simple. They have a right not to pay for something they don't agree with morally. It'd be the same thing for those of you that are opposed to guns. The exact same concept of if the federal government was trying to make you pay for guns for someone else. You shouldn't be required to do that. That goes against your moral fiber. And we shouldn't be required, or folks that don't believe in birth control should not be required to pay for it for you. And those folks like me that don't want to pay for it for you, I don't see why we should have to either. So let's clarify the birth control issue. Second one is abortion. I don't ever wade into the abortion issue because it's messy and there's enough people doing it. But something that hit me today was the president, as compared to Mitt Romney on this, the guy that's closer to the middle, closer to the mainstream on abortion, is most certainly Mitt Romney. The president is way out on the left in terms of abortion, just to make it clear. I mean, Mitt Romney's personal position is abortion should only take place in case of rape, incest, or life of the mother. That's what he says his personal position is. In terms of policy, his really only policy that he can even put into place is just nominating good judges that would send the abortion issue to the states and that wouldn't be handled from the federal level. That position from Romney is, I'll admit, that's not the mainstream. That's not the plurality. I doubt there's a majority on this if we gave all the different options to the American people. I don't think there'd be a majority, but sure, Mitt Romney in my position, which is even to the right of Mitt Romney's, is not the plurality. Completely agree with that. But the president's position is most certainly not. Romney is closer to the moderate. I don't even want to admit that. I'm a Romney voter here, but Romney is closer to the moderate than Barack Obama is in terms of abortion. Here's the example. When Barack Obama was state senator in Illinois, the practice amongst abortion clinics was when an abortion went wrong and the child accidentally lived through the abortion, and that child is now birthed as outside of the womb, they just leave that child to die somewhere. That was the policy. If you don't believe me, fact check me. I'm not lying to you. And a bill came to the Illinois Senate called the Infant Born Alive Act. Barack Obama, as a state senator, vocally opposed it and voted against it. A bill that would have stopped that practice, that would have had the very rational idea that if a child is born and has a heartbeat and is breathing, you don't leave it in the corner to die. That child deserves medical attention. But to be clear, the president doesn't think so. That is the extreme position. Let's be clear that the president supports partial birth abortion, where you have a full-term child sometimes who genuinely, if the child was just birthed, they'd live. They're very much alive. They're very much viable. We half birth that child and then kill that child. That's the extreme. That's way out there on the left. We're in a situation now where children sometimes they survive at 7 months in gestation, or sometimes even a little earlier. And the only thing different is their location. If you took that child outside of the womb, they were born early and put them somewhere else and someone killed that child, then they'd be charged with murder. But if you decide you just want to, that's called an abortion instead. That's irrational. And the president's way out there on the left. And admittedly, Romney is to the right of the country on abortion. I would imagine the plurality of the country is not abortion on demand, in that it's somewhere that we pick a spot where the child is viable and you got to stop killing it because it now can live outside the womb. It's now independent of needing you outside of the womb. That's probably where the plurality is. But who's closer to the middle? Unquestionably Mitt Romney. He's the moderate on this. Barack Obama's a crazy leftist on abortion. Final is the tickets. Who really is the better ticket for women? I would submit to you this. Liberalism as an ideology is degrading to women. Go back to earlier in this campaign and go look this up. The Obama campaign released this ad type of thing online called Life of Julia. And it was a fictional woman, and it told her life story. In every single part of her fictional life, it showed how the federal government played a major role in her life, how the federal government was integral to how she did on this planet. The liberal ideology says to women, you cannot achieve. If the federal government is not directly involved in your life, you will never achieve anything. You need us. You're no longer dependent on men, but you're certainly dependent on the federal government. That's what liberalism thinks of women. Without question, the Life of Julia thing is paternalistic. It shows a president and an ideology that looks at women and says, you need to be cared for. You need someone to take care of you. That thing or it is going to be the federal government. Conservatism on the other side says to women, you're good. You're independent. You're capable. You're intelligent. You got this thing. You can go do it. You don't even need us. You're fine. You can have at it. Conservatism is an individualist concept, and it says to women, you can go. You're fine. You got this thing. You don't need me to pay for your birth control. You don't need me to pay for everything else that you do. You don't even need the federal government. You got this thing. You're a very capable woman. Conservatism says that to women. Liberalism says you cannot. You can do nothing. You must have the federal government if you're going to achieve anything at all. That's liberalism. Liberalism tries to tell that to me. That's what liberalism tries to preach to everybody. You cannot do anything without the federal government. You need it. So just some things on women's issues there for 2012. I don't see any other way around this fact. The Romney-Ryan ticket is better for women. It's better for everybody. Most certainly, Romney is closer to the center, though he's not in the center, admittedly, on abortion. He's closer to it than the president is. He's way out there. And absolutely on this birth control thing. Can everyone just cool down for a second? No one's trying to take it away. We just don't want to pay for it. And people that have a moral problem with it certainly should not be required to pay for it. We're just 7 days out. Don't forget to vote 7 days from now. And thanks for listening.